Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be working on the dome for this little beaded bell that we've been working on in the last video. I went with candy cane stripes, but you can of course have done it in solid color or any pattern you like. I just wanted to do the candy canes. So what you're going to need today are your seed beads or other tiny beads depending on the size of main body bead you use. I use 4mm bicones in this particular example, so I'm using 11/0 seed beads. If you go with a much bigger bead, you may want to use a 3mm round bead or something similar, 6/0 seed bead. It's just going to depend entirely on what size main body bead you used. Okay, these, like I said, are 11/0. They are Czech Glass, silver line, crystal, and there was 18 grams originally in this tube, and I dumped what remaining I had out. You're going to need 2 of your main body bead. I'm using the red from before. This is because I want it to stand out. This is going to be the top bead here and the clapper bead on the inside, and I wanted to keep going with that red and white theme, so I'm going with red because these are clear and it'll stand out nicely. I also have my fire line today. This is 6-pound test, 0.15mm diameter fire line in the crystal color. Again, I really don't want it to show too much. I'd rather show off the beads, not the thread. So that's why I'm using the crystal. Use a color that's appropriate for your project. You're also going to need a needle. I'm using a size 10 beading needle. Again, this is going to depend entirely upon what size bead you're using. If you're making a really tiny one and using 15/0, you're gonna want like a size 12 beading needle. Okay, you're gonna need your scissors or thread sap, and of course your main body of your bell. Okay, so if you haven't made that yet and you're going, "Hey nerdy, what are you talking about?" The link is down below and up in the eye. Go check that out first, okay, and make the main body first. All right. So let's go ahead and get our stuff together and let's get started. Alright, to begin, I strung on about I'd say probably about 36 inches, maybe a little longer. Just something I'm comfortable working with. Of my fire line to my size 10 beading needle. And I've got out my size 11/0 seed beads here and 2 of my crystals. Alright, so to begin, we're going to actually start with the clapper. Okay, and we're going to string on enough beads that it will stretch from the top of the bell down to that last row-ish, around about there. Depending on the size you're making, that's going to determine how many beads you need. Okay, there's no set number on this part, so go ahead and string on a bunch of beads just like that. I'm not going to count them. I am pretty much eyeballing that just to make sure I have a long enough piece, and once I have that on, I'll be right back. Alright, I've strung on enough beads to reach about where I need them to reach. Sorry, let me move that so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Right, that incidentally was about 35, I think. And now I want to drag these all the way down to the end of my thread, leaving a nice sized tail. 8 inches or so, 10 inches. It doesn't matter too much. And now I knocked my camera, hold on. Okay, I'm going to pick up my copper bead, okay, and there's no reason that these can't be different colors, by the way. You can use the clapper bead one color and use the top cap bead is a completely different color. It's up to you. Alright, so now I'm going to pick up one more seed bead or little bead that I'm using here. I'm going to drop it down and then I'm going to skip it. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to skip it and go back up through all the beads I added except for that last seed bead I just added. And I need to be very careful at this point not to skip any beads. If you can't do it in one pass, which is fine, take it in 2 or 3 passes, however you need to do it to get it to that you haven't skipped any of these beads. Alright. I apologize for all the background noise. My heater is on overtime because it is really chilly here today. Alright, so I've got my tail still. And I've passed through all those beads. So now there's 2 passes of string between or inside of the crystal and all of those seed beads. So now I want to pick up my other crystal and drop it down. And now I'm going to pick up enough seed beads to make my hanger. That's usually about 100 seed beads, but I want to make a loop that's big enough to hang on my tree. You may want to make just a little tiny one and then add a ornament hanger or wire one because you have some that are really pretty. I don't. I just prefer to have my hanger already attached so I don't have to actually hunt for one. So I'm going to pick up probably about 100 and I will be back when I have those strung because you don't want to watch me trying to pick up 100 seed beads. Be right back. Alright, I'm finished adding on my hanger beads or rather the beads for my hanger, and I ended up adding 100 of these 11-aught seed beads. That makes it just about the right length that I like for my hangers. And again, this is going to be entirely up to you. You can add as many or as few as you like. Alright, so now I'm going to skip the last seed bead and I'm going to go down through my crystal and pull everything tight. Okay, like that. And now I'm going to start the initial part of my cap here. Now, if you have seen my other beaded bell video, you'll recognize this cap pretty much immediately. It is very similar. In fact, I think it's just about identical, to be honest. Here is my pattern. This one bead in the middle, right here, is my cap bead. That bead right there, okay? And if you follow the lines, the first row is going to be this funky 3-leaf flower looking thing. So each leaf or petal of this flower is going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, oops, sorry, let me zoom you back in. So pick up 5 of your seed beads. 1, 2, 3, like that. So I have 5, and I'm going to go back up through my crystal. And don't worry if it comes a little loose. It won't after this next pass. Alright. So up through the crystal. I think I'm caught. Hold on. There we go. Up through the crystal and then through all of the hanger beads. Be very careful that you don't skip any of these. Like I said before, it's definitely okay to go in several passes through this, okay? This is going to do two things. One, it's going to start our netting part of the cap or dome of the bell, and it's going to reinforce our hanger, which will be the only thing that gets any wear and tear as you put it on the tree and then take it back off. If you happen to be making this for a different purpose, you may want to just really reinforce this. Okay. While I'm doing this, let me go ahead and ask a question. I've never actually done a poll before, but let's try one, okay? Is there any Christmas motif that you would like to see done in beadwork for Christmas 2019? I'm going to leave a couple of choices up at the top, including the one other. And if you click on other, please comment down below what that other is. Alright? So go ahead and take that poll and let me know what you want. Alright? So now I've made it all the way back around and I'm just doing some tightening, making sure that I don't have any thread showing anywhere that it shouldn't be. Now go back down the crystal and only the crystal. Like that. Pick up 5 more seed beads. And do it again. Back up through the crystal and through all the seed beads in the hanger. I'm not going to make you watch that again. I'll be right back when I have the third one complete. Alright, I've made it all the way back around. I have gone through my hanger beads 3 times and I've made all 3 of my little petal shapes. And until we finish the next round, these are going to kind of flop wherever they want to. Okay, I'm now exiting, though it's hard to tell, I'm exiting just right here. The crystal on the top of the cap. I know it's hard to tell. This is still my tail thread. At this point, you can thread a needle on, take it through the clapper and out the bottom here, cut off the thread and call it good. You don't need it anymore. If you're worried about it, go ahead and tie with the working thread, go ahead and tie a nice square knot. Like that. Just make sure it goes underneath the flower shape. Just like that. And now that will not come undone. Alright, thread on your needle, get rid of that tail thread. I'm actually going to do that because it kind of gets in the way in the next step. Alright, I got rid of my tail thread because I can't handle it. Let me zoom you out just a little. I got you in really close. Alright, so I'm exiting the crystal and I just need to make my way down one of the petal shapes to the middle bead of that petal shape. So bead number 3 in the petal. So pick one, whichever one you feel the need to do. I'm going to go with one my thread is closest to. I'm going to go through the first bead, the second bead, and then the third one. And now I'm in position to add the beads to make the very top of my cap. If we look at the pattern here, we've just made this shape. So now we've gone that and we're right here. So now we need to go through and add the beads in round number 2, and that turns out to be a total of 15. We're going to pick up 5, go through the middle bead of the previous petal, pick up 5, go through the middle bead of the next petal, pick up 5, and we'll be back where we started. So let's do that. I'm in the middle bead, so go ahead and pick up 5. And go to the next petal. And like I said, these are going to kind of flop around until you do this part. And make sure you do have 5. I think I dropped one. This cap and the main body of the bell are all based on the number 9. So this one, when you count them, there'll be 18 beads that you pass through total. So I'm on the next petal, count 1, 2, and go through the third one, the middle one. So that's 10 of the 15 we've added. By going through the middle beads, we're adding another 3. That makes that 18 I'm talking about. So pick up 5 more. 3, 4, and 5. And go through the next petal, count 1, 2, 3, and it'll be the really obvious one that's sticking out. Pull it down. So that's 10 we've added so far. Pick up 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Drop them down. And now you got to go through 1, 2, 3. Don't miss it. Okay. I know it's really, really tough to see that. But I am going through the third bead of the first petal I went through. And pull it down. So now what you have is like a circle shape with the flower stuck in the middle of it. And the clapper, hopefully you made sure that the clapper is not caught anywhere. It needs to be in the middle, hanging, when you hang it this way, hanging straight down, not caught in one of the holes. Okay? At this point you can reinforce this. I do like to go around more than once just to be sure that it doesn't come loose for the next bit. So I'm going to go through all 18. I will be counting them as I go. That's 6. That's 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Alright, I've gone all the way around twice, double checking that I have the 18, and I do. So I am now here, okay? I made my loop, and then I came out and I started here, I've gone all the way around, and now I'm exiting here. So now we need to go and pick up more beads, specifically a total of 27 extra beads. Okay, so I'm exiting here, and what I need to do is go every other one, picking up 3 beads. So you can scoot away from where you are, you can start right there, it's all up to you. I am twisted around there. Here we go. I am exiting one of the beads that was part of our initial flower shape, and that's fine. I'm gonna pick up 3, if I can get my string untangled there. 2 and 3. Pick up 3 seed beads. Alright, pick up the 3, drop them down. There's the 3. Skip 1 and go through the next. So I'm skipping this one and I'm going through the next one. Bring it in just a little bit. I don't want to bring in too much because it tends to get blurry when I do. Pick up 3. Skip 1 and go through the next. So I'm exiting this one, I'm going to skip that one and go through this one. And I apologize for the crying cat in the background. I have locked her out of my room using baby gates, and she doesn't like it. She thinks she should be allowed in here. I disagree. So I apologize for that noise. Pick up 3. Drop your needle like I just did. Skip 1. I'm going through that. I'm coming out of that one. I'm going to skip that one and go through the next one, which incidentally is the 3rd bead on the initial petal flower shape that we had at the beginning. So I'm going to keep doing that until I get all the way back around. I'll meet you back when I have that done. Alright, I've made it back around. I've picked up my last 3, and I'm going to finish this off. I'm exiting this bead. I'm going to skip 1 bead and go through the first bead I started with. Okay. Which was that 3rd bead on our initial flower petal shape. And now what you have is a 9-petal flower. I'm going up that first petal I created, the first bead, and the second bead. I need to be in the middle of that. Basically what we're creating is an expanded netting. Okay, so using your imagination, these will sit a lot better once they are in the next, once they're part of the next, the netting. They'll sit nice and evenly. But there's our wonky 9-petal flower or snowflake or whatever you want to think of it as. I've gone up the first petal, 1, 2. I'm now exiting the second bead of that first petal of the 9-petal flower. So looking at our pattern here, I've made our first flower, came out the middle bead of the first petal, went around, Added a total of 15 beads to make the first ring, which is round number 2. Skipped 1, added 3, skipped 1, added 3, for a total of 27 beads in round 3. And now I've gone all the way around, and I have now made it up to here. Okay, or here, it doesn't really matter which one you're in, just pick one. So I decided to show right here. Okay, so now we're going to go from middle bead to middle bead of round number 3 again, but this time we're going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a total of 45 beads added in this particular round. So I'm at the middle of one of the flower petals there, for lack of a better term. I'm going to pick up 5. Like that. And now I'm going to jump over to the next flower petal. So I'm in this flower petal. I'm going to go to the next one and go to the second bead, the one that's sticking out, and pass through. And this is what I have. This initial one will look a little strange, but when we get to the end it'll look just like it's supposed to. Pick up another 5. And go to the next flower petal, the middle bead. So here it is. 1, 2, 3. Go in the second one, the one that's sticking out. Pull it down. Try not to get your strings caught. And there's the next one. You're going to repeat that 7 more times, and I'll meet back up with you when I'm done. Alright, I've made it all the way back around, and this is what I have so far. I am at my last spot, so I've picked up the last 5. Drop those down, and go and find, don't be tempted to go through the wrong bead. Make sure you go through the middle bead of the previous petal. And pull that down. Don't get your threads caught like I keep trying to do. And now, this is what you should have. Okay, they're still going to sit a little wonky, but at the end I promise they will dome nicely. Okay, so back to our pattern here. You zoom me out just a little. There we go. We've completed round 44, which added 45 total beads, which is the blue, and we are now sitting right here. We need to travel up 1, 2, 3 to the middle bead so that we can add on the last round. Okay, so we're going to add a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beads in each petal for a total of 63 beads in this round. Now, depending on how you want your top hole to look, that's where I stopped on this one. On this one, I continued on and made one more round, so I have 2 rounds, okay, of 7 beads that I've added. Actually, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 7. Okay, and that gave this particular cap more of a rounder shape, and this one kind of has an indent in it. Alright, both this picture and the other picture that shows that option will be linked down below. It'll be just on my Facebook fan page, just Nerdy Creations on Facebook, and you can just find it in the photos, and have it, you know, save the image as your own on your own device of some sort, and then you won't have to keep referring to my Facebook page for it. By all means, go ahead and print it out. I don't actually have the skills yet needed for a PDF file, but eventually I will get one. I will get those skills finally learned and have it hooked up for you at some point in the distant future, probably. So let's go ahead and finish this round. This is round number 5. And I will zoom you back in, and as you can see, that's where my camera can see when I'm zoomed in. Okay, so I'm at the top of the littler petal. I need to get to the top of our new petal. So I'm going to pass through 3 beads and pull the string down, and now I'm going to add 7. So pick up 7, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double check to make sure that is 7. And then I'm going to go to bead number 3 of the next petal. So 1, 2, 3, the one that's sticking up. Pretty obvious which one to go through. And like I said before, this is just a simple netted top. Okay? It's the way it makes a dome is the number of beads you add in each petal as you go around. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Find the 7th or the 3rd bead of the next loop or petal or whatever you feel like calling it. There it is. If these are getting loose on you, make sure you tug them down, okay? I'm going to repeat this all the way around for a total of 63 beads I've added in this round. Alright, I've made it back. And you can see my wonkiness is getting even more pronounced. But again, this is just to make it dome properly when I attach it to the top of my belt. I've added my last 7, so I need to go through my last spot. And I'm going to double check 1, 2, 3 and make sure that I'm going through the 3rd bead of the top, or the top bead of the petal below. Like that. And this is what I have. And when you spread it out on the table, it looks a little like a poinsettia flower. If you did it in red with gold, it really would look like a poinsettia, or poinsettia, depending on how you like to pronounce it. So now what I want to do is go, if you're going to add the next round, then you'll go to the top bead, which is the 4th bead of these loops of the last of this round that we added, round number 6, or I'm sorry, round number 5, and add 7 beads to round number 6. Okay, I know I'm gonna stop there and add my dome to my bell, so it'll look a little like this, where it's kind of indented a little. If you do it, then it'll dome more like this. So it's up to you which look you like better. I'm going with the original. So I'm going to just reinforce going all the way around one more time, tying a couple of half hitches here and there, and then burying my thread, and I will be right back so we can finish this up. Alright, I have fastened off my thread there, and this is what I have. Like I said, it's going to be a little wonky, and that's okay, because when we put it onto the belt, it's going to completely dome up, which is what we need. On here, I have added my needle to the fishing line that I had reserved for this purpose. And now I'm ready to add my bell. what we're going to do is go from middle seed bead to bicone bead to another bicone bead to a middle seed bead and do that. So we're going to do two bicones and then a seed bead that is part of this. And it's going to be the middle seed bead of the loop. Okay, so we had 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to be going through this middle bead number 4 as we pass along. So I'm exiting, let's see if I can show you a little better. I'm exiting this bead right here. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my first middle bead of the loop, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to pass through that. And if it's tight, that's okay. You can use a pair of pliers to pull the needle through, but be careful, you can crack a seed bead at this point. I'm going to pass through the first main body bead, or bicone in this case, and then a second one. As I do that, it's going, when I pull the tension on it, these two beads will come together and the next two won't, because there will be a seed bead in the way. So I've gone through this one. I was exiting this one. I went through a seed bead of the cap and 2 beads of the bell, and now I'm ready to go through a seed bead of the next loop of the cap. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The one that's sticking up. I like to count just to make sure. I'm going to pull it down. And then I'm exiting this bead. I need to go into this bead and this bead. Around the edge of the top of the bell. Just like that. It's okay if you don't pull it tight right now. It doesn't have to be super tight yet. We'll do that in a minute. Then I'm ready to go through bead number 4 of the next loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one wasn't quite as obvious. Then I'm going to go through the next 2 bicones. So I was exiting this one here, and this clear one right here. And now I'm going through the red and the next bead in line, which is a clear, or white, or whatever you want to call it. Now I'm ready to pick up my next loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. It wasn't sticking up, so it was a little harder to tell, but counting will always keep you true. Just make sure you, as you're going along, you keep that clapper on the inside of the bell. So I am exiting this crystal. I want to go through this one and in the next one beyond it. Like so. Pick up the next bead in line. 1, 2, 3. Seed bead in line. Oops, sorry. The 4th one of the next loop. Like that. I'm exiting. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm exiting this crystal. I'm going to go through this crystal and the next one beyond it. So go through 2 main beads. Like I said, you could be using round beads, or you can be using those faceted acrylic beads that are for children. It's just going to depend on your choice. I'm sorry. I've gone through my crystal or bicone there, so now I need to pick up the 4th one of the next loop. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one right here. And now I've gone through this crystal. I want to go through the next 2. Now at 3, go through the next 2. Pick up the next loop, the 4th bead of the next loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Every time I kind of stutter on my talking, it's because I'm looking in the camera, make sure that I'm not drifting off to one side or another. I was exiting this crystal. I need to go through the next 2. 1, 2. Like that. We are getting very close to the end, guys. Just like that. I now need to pick up the 4th bead of the next loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes they're obvious and sometimes they're a little trapped. Okay, I'm going to go through, I'm exiting, or I went through this bead, caught my seed bead, so now I need to go through the next 2 main beads. Like that. And now I'm at my last loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. I went through this one, picked up my seed bead, so now I need to pick up the last 2, which are red in this case. And because I've already been cinching this down, I kind of need to do it one at a time so I don't accidentally crack the crystal at this point. So there's the top, and when it hangs, it domes just a little. Okay. Like I said, if you add the extra one, it domes a lot, and that looks probably better. I'll have both options available on my patterns available on my Facebook page, as I said before. So there it is. Now I just want to weave my ends down. You can reinforce this. I wouldn't suggest doing too much because there is a lot of thread going through these. If you reinforce these, you might crack a seed bead. But there's the top with a nice poinsettia flower looking shape on the top. With this one, it doesn't quite look nearly poinsettia-y. Is that a word? Poinsettia-esque. Because I did the extra row, so it kind of makes it look a little different. This one kind of looks a little bit closer. But there you go. Alright, I finished off my bell. While I was looking at it, I decided that I really needed to make that dome a little bit more instead of go in like this one does. So I went ahead and took that back off, added the extra row of 7 beads, the extra round, so there's 6 rounds instead of just 5, and I think that was the right decision. It looks a lot more shapelier. It looks like a bell. It really looks like a bell rather than kind of, I don't know, in an indented form. Like that one. It looks more like this one, which I really like the shape of this one. And I think that is much better. I think that was the correct choice. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.